So now we have a special presentation on Jal Sanjeevani. And can I request Madam Shilpa Nag, Commissioner Rural Development and Panchayati Raj Department, Government of Karnataka, to come on stage and to give this special presentation.
So very warm good afternoon to all of you. When we organized this Rural E-Governance Summit, I think we have attended a lot of e-governance summits across the country. There are two unique things that we are trying to do here. One is, for the very first time, we are looking at planning as an entity. Generally, it is implementation, monitoring and vigilance, to some extent evaluation, and citizen services platforms. But for the very first time, we are looking at planning comprehensively. That is what the first two presentations are all about, and the first panel discussion. And secondly, we are looking at GIS and other remote sensing technologies, which we generally kind of look past. So welcome to the conference. We'll keep it as simple and as quick as possible. And there is a limitation of time, so it will be a very short and brief presentation. Manoj sir has already spoken about the GIS technology, what exactly is GIS and what we are doing in disaster management. And Karnataka is the leading player in the country when it comes to GIS technologies. So for the very first time, I think we are using GIS in Karnataka in a very big way for planning. And I am Commissioner Rural Development in Karnataka. So I monitor the scheme called NREGA, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. At the state level, we have 31 districts. So today I'll be talking about the planning aspect of NREGA, how we are using technology platforms, GIS information to do NREGA planning. So let's start off. All of you know about NREGA. I don't think NREGA needs any introduction. It is the largest employment guarantee scheme in the world. And this year's union budget, we have kept 60,000 crore for NREGA expenditure. In Karnataka, we are one of the leading implementers of NREGA, whether it is natural resource management assets, non-NRM assets like school infrastructure, road infrastructure, etc. And we are generating anywhere between 13 crore % to 16 crore %. Next. I'm supposed to move. So NREGA, when we look at NREGA, we always look at it from a employment generation perspective, especially in the lean agricultural seasons. People of Karnataka and all across the state in rural areas, mainly manual unskilled labor. And in Karnataka, the wage rate is 309 rupees per day. But NREGA is much bigger than that. To understand the potential of NREGA, we need to look at the natural resource management assets that we are creating. NRM is compulsory. 65% of the works undertaken in NREGA should be related to soil and water conservation works. So the impact and the contribution of NREGA to our ecology, to our environment, in the mitigation of climate change is not spoken in a big way. So this is a small effort towards that direction. And of course, water conservation is key to economic growth and human survival. I think Shakil sir very well mentioned about intergenerational equity, that we can't exploit all the resources that we have today. And when you look at it as future generation, it is a very big mass of, unknown phases. But when you look at it as your children, and their children, that is when you see that, we can't exploit all the resources. We always have to think from a perspective of intergenerational equity. So NREGA, it is a key to water and soil conservation. Definitely at minimal cost, if scientifically planned, we can rejuvenate acres and acres of land and water. And more than a relief against drought, and even looking at NREGA or any other scheme from a post-disaster perspective is very wrong. We are talking about an important term called climate resilience. So how do we prepare our Gram Panchayats, our villages, our taluks and districts for the next 10, 15, 20, 25 years? That is what we are trying to plan about. So not just relief against drought. After the drought happens, parihara kodbeku, parihara kodtivi. Flood agide parihara kodbeku, but why can't we mitigate and even prevent floods and droughts and landslides? What kind of assets and structures we have to build in this direction? So that is what Jal Sanjeevani is all about. Just to understand the scale of NREGA, we have done 9.46 lakh NRM works in this current year with a total expenditure of around 3,700 crore. Towards the end of the financial year, this would reach 5,000 crore. And we have done 49,298 hectares of forestation and farm forestry works, 3,500 kilometers of roadside plantation, and 89 lakhs seedlings are raised in our nurseries, both horticulture, sericulture, social forestry, and GPLF nurseries. And we have employed this year 28.48 lakh households with a total percentage generation of 11.7 crore so far. And we have employed 25.83 lakh women and created 6 crore women percentage specifically. So I think you're very familiar with all the structures that happen in NREGA. Just to give you a scale and understanding, last 3 years we have taken around 11,250 lake development works, around 2,000 check dams, and 1.5 lakh trench cum bunds, and 86,000 farm ponds, and 7,000 odd open wells. So let's come to the topic of the day, Jal Sanjeevani. So it is reimagining and diversification of MGNREGs in Karnataka for climate resilience. So when we look at NREGA, we have an image in our head. There is some kind of a dry place. There are a lot of North Karnataka. Somehow when we think about NREGA in Karnataka, we always think of North Karnataka women in dry climate, working in some community work and digging. So when the NREGA, advent of NREGA, I remember it between 2007 and 2010. It used to have the criticism, digging a pit and filling the pit. So of course, NREGA is not just that, and it's gone way beyond that. And not just in natural resource management assets, but today, every village in Karnataka, if you go, we have CC roads, we have drains, no water, grey water is flowing on the streets. We have school compounds in every school. We have playgrounds, nutrition gardens, rainwater harvesting structures. We have a lot of things, school kitchens, toilets, and all that. So it's contributed. But this time we are looking at the planning side of NREGA. Implementation, monitoring, vigilance is kind of systematized. We have NREGA soft, but Jal Sanjeevani is all about the planning perspective. Again, planning from two different perspectives. One is a scientific side, one is a participatory side. So just to give you a scale of NRM expenditure we are doing, why NREGA should be planned properly, why NRM needs planning, is that 2021-22, we spent almost 4,778 crore only on NRM works. This year, like I told you, we'll be crossing 5,000 crore expenditure. So when we are spending 5,000 crore on NREGA in NRM, what are we getting out of it? So each rupee that is spent, we want to spend it in a very efficient manner. That is the purpose of Jal Sanjeevani. So again, this logo, I'm very proud of this logo because in-house design, all the team members who have worked on this are present here today. I want to congratulate them. So this is in the form of a diya, leading the light, lead light kindly. So green is for environment conservation and greening, blue is for water conservation, and the brown is for soil conservation, and to mitigate climate change effects and to build climate resilience. This is the vision, using remote sensing and GIS technology, and completely it is a watershed-based planning concept. Not just a concept, it is an implementation right now. So these are the planning tools. I think Manoj sir explained about a lot of tools. So Karnataka, in every department, we have done very well in e-governance. How to integrate all that and bring it to the field for implementation is something which we are looking at. Right from the Bhuvan portal and KSR SAC, that is a Karnataka GIS, where we can take GP boundaries and multiple thematic maps, whether it is rainfall data, whether it is the nature of soil, the gradient, the draining, river drains, where they are going. Everything is available in these portals. So these are the thematic layers which we are using. We have trained people at the district, taluk, and Gram Panchayat level, including elected representatives, administrators, and technical people. And we have made it as simple as possible for anybody, not even without a GIS background, to do this. Luckily, in all our ZPs, we have a consultant called the NRDMS consultant, who is the key person, technical planning person in this regard. And Google Earth Pro we are using for overlay analysis. Bhuvan of GeoManrega has all the completed NREGA assets that is already there, which is geotag, lat long we can get. So for asset deduplication, we are using that. CLAT mobile app, we are using it for ground truthing. I'll be speaking about the app in the later part of the presentation. And for survey analysis like, water bodies, Gomala and all, we are using Dishank mobile app of Revenue Department. So I'll just come to the important part of this slide. So Karnataka is the only state, I think, which has done 100% water budgets. Every Gram Panchayat in Karnataka, we have 5950 Gram Panchayats right now. So we have a water budget that is done in the last 1 year. And water budget is not just done just for the sake of compliance, but it is very scientifically done. We have a template. For multiple years, I think trainings were done through Saksham and all that. But I would see that when I was CEO, I used to be called for these trainings, to inaugurate trainings. Even then, I never understood the importance of water budgets. But now that I'm at a state perspective, I just realized that how important is water budgeting to understand if my Gram Panchayat is a surplus Gram Panchayat or a deficit. So water budget is very simple. It's just like what is the requirement or demand of water for household use, for drinking purpose, for other uses, agricultural use, animals use. What are the sources of water that is available in different places, like surface water, underground water? What is the gap and how do you bridge the gap? So we have completed 100% water budgeting in each and every Gram Panchayat in Karnataka, and that is the basis for Jal Sanjeevani Action Plan. And scientific planning, KML, which I'll be showing, it is a single visual document where anybody can understand why we are doing a particular work, where it is situated, and how we are doing it. So KML planning for the next 3 years, that from April onwards we'll be implementing, 100% we have completed. And for the very first time for fodder security, Karnataka has taken a Gomala development subplan. Gomala is nothing but a grazing land. And just like food security and water security, one ignored area I always feel is fodder security. Because who are the people who are having these cattle, livestock and all that? It is for their livelihood security, along with agriculture. Generally, they'll be professing some agriculture. They'll have half an acre, 1 acre of agricultural land. They'll have 2 or 4 cows, buffaloes and all that. Where are they getting the fodder from? All the village commons like Gomalas are encroached upon, and they have kind of lost their original, intended purpose. And also, they are buying fodder to feed their cattle. So it is out-of-pocket expenditure on fodder. So when you make an expenditure out of pocket, you will be kind of missing out on important health, education, nutrition, other expenditures for their family. So to bring about fodder security, we have introduced the Gomala development subplan. The second component is a silvipasture development where farmers who have individual lands will be encouraged to grow fodder species in their own lands. So these two are the major components of Gomala development subplan. And then we have the disaster risk reduction, the disaster management subplan. Again, from a unique perspective, landslides, floods, and droughts. We have identified, which are the vulnerable areas. So Manoj sir was showing vulnerable mapping. So we have taken that information up to the GP level, and then we have requested the particular GPs to make these plans to mitigate these effects in the next 3 years. So next 3 years, the works will be implemented, and I'm sure that will hold good for the next 10 to 15 years. So, and also we have chosen wildlife conservation subplan, which I'll be explaining later, and a lot of other activities for livelihood upliftment. It's not working. Okay. So again, this is the special areas of focus. So in Karnataka, if we look at Karnataka, according to the water security plan or the water budget, 2007-14 of our panchayats is in surplus, and 3235 panchayats are deficient, water deficient. So this is the starting point for our vision and planning. So again, this is district-wise, where the panchayats have, the number of panchayats. For example, in Bagalkot, 110 panchayats are water deficient, 85 are water surplus. I think this information is very, very important for a CEO, for a EO, for a PDO, to know where their panchayat stands. Otherwise, just Narega, we have to do planning. Last year we did these works, we will add 10%, we will make similar plans. So basically, this is what the change in thought, change in thinking we are trying to promote. So this is the Gomala development subplan. Right now we have made these Gomala, and for the very first time I must say that PDOs are going and looking where the Gomalas are there in our Gram Panchayat. It is always considered a revenue topic. Gomala andre revenue daru gottirutte, namgenu gottilla. So for the first time they are finding out in my taluk, in my district, how many Gomalas are there, what is the status, how many are encroached upon. And so many people are putting applications saying that we are actually cultivating this for a very long time. We have lost a lot of land. At least let us not lose the rest of the land. So we have made in 2,163 Gram Panchayats, we have made these Gomala development subplans. And for 16,850 acres of Gomala will be developed in the next 1 year, not 3 years, next 1 year. And again, our Jal Sanjeevani DPR is being implemented in the next 3 years. We have this concept of the upper ridge, middle ridge, and lower ridge. Upper ridge works in the first year, middle in the second, and lower ridge in the third year. This is the overall understanding. So again, Gomala development, it is like a water budget. You have to understand what is the animal population in your Gram Panchayat, and the current fodder, where it is there, where it is not there. what is the requirement, which is the closest Gomala, and Gomala should be close to the habitation, it can't be somewhere in the forest. And even in that, the boundary plantation, there are some kind of grasslands and grazing lands and perennial fodder species that will be there. There'll be vegetative checks, there'll be a water source called the Gokatte in that. And so scientifically developing Gomala, if it is a larger Gomala over more than 1 year, otherwise within the same year. So again, these are the plans that are prepared by different districts. You can see that Tumkur has done 186, which is maximum, and depending on the availability, they have planned this year. So coming to the DRR, Disaster Risk Reduction Plan, we speak so much about disaster. So let's discuss pre-disaster, how to avoid disaster, rather than how to deal with disaster later on. Karnataka is a unique state where we have both droughts and floods. Landslide is not much of a problem because landslide usually happens in hilly areas. Only the Western Ghat districts have landslide issues, but our major issues are both drought and flood. And we have made 2,382 drought prevention plans, and NREGA from a different perspective we are seeing for the first time. We have a lot of individual and community works where you can do drought proofing. So in that regard, flood prevention, we have done 1741 plans, and it is scientifically selected and scientifically done. Some of you have done the plan, may also be present here. So all the template was given, what are the nature of works you can take up was given. And then we have done 124 landslide prevention plans, mainly in the Western Ghat districts of Uttar Kannada, Dakshin Kannada, and Udupi. So wildlife conservation is something, I think if any NREGA implementers are here, forest, as soon as you say forest, RFO allow marta illa. People are not allowing us to get inside forest. We have labor demand, but again, forest department is not cooperating. Because we have done all the desilting that we can do in all the water bodies. Now where to do work? Because manual labor. So this time we have taken a special initiative at the state level where we have had interactions with the topmost officers of the forest department, including territorial, wildlife and social forestry, of developing some wildlife areas to conserve the wildlife areas using NREGA. So we have identified some sites in Ranebennur Black Buck Sanctuary, Dandeli Wildlife Sanctuary, Nagarhole Tiger Reserve, Daroji and Bandipur. So some sort of watering holes that you can do, access kacha roads that you can do, de-weeding, they keep asking about lantana removal, but as a preparatory activity to further plantation that they can do, or any other permissible NREGA work that is required in that wildlife area. So that is something, again, for the first time inside Jal Sanjeevani, we have introduced for planned development of wildlife areas and their sustenance. So permissible drought works, drought prevention works, you all know the list in NREGA. This is just for an indicative purpose. The left side map, Manoj sir was also showing. This contains data of the last 20 years drought-affected taluks. So where the red is there, it is the maximum drought-affected. So this is the taluk level data, but again, like I told you, micro level data is also available. So plans are done based on these. So you can look at the flood-affected areas. Some areas are kind of both flood and drought-affected in different seasons. So that is the speciality of Karnataka. So individual works that you can take up, community works that you can take up, heavy rainfall and flood situation. So this is just an indicative map. We have a lot of these kind of information that is available, and Karnataka State Disaster Monitoring Center, of which is headed by Manoj sir. We have done special meetings with them, and with all 9 departments we have issued enabling joint circulars. So we have circulated all this data to the district and taluk levels already. So landslide prevention, like the Western Ghat areas, right from these footbridges for children and people to cross these kind of overflowing streams, to afforestation, roadside plantation works that can be taken up. And flood control walls, very important measure that we have also allowed under NREGA. So if you look at this map, so GP is vulnerable to flooding. So in Kodagu district, if we take a district map, we were seeing the state map. So this is what the planner at the district level, whether it is a DS or PD, whether it is a CEO, NRDMS, or our technical ADPC and other technical people, this is how they look at their district and, at their district and taluk. I think for the very first time, people are viewing NREGA from a different lens, and this is what it is. So this is landslide affected in Kodagu district. And I was talking about CLAT. So the steps of Jal Sanjeevani goes like this. First, we do a socio-economic data aggregation at the Gram Panchayat level, which is door-to-door data collection almost. And then we move towards water budgeting and other related collection of secondary information and geospatial information. Then we do a tabletop planning exercise where we use Karnataka GIS and GeoManrega, etc. to overlay multiple thematic layers and do a tabletop planning. Then whatever tabletop planning, what we have done is correct or not, we take it to the ground and do ground truthing through the CLART mobile app. Parallelly, there will be a participatory exercise of transect walk, participatory rural appraisal, focus group discussions with the people to also take their demands into consideration. Because I think more than any technology, wisdom is in the people's, rural people have a lot of wisdom. They know the seasonality of rainfall, how things may happen and all that. So it is important to incorporate their demands and their knowledge also. So CLART mobile app has only 4 different colors. So every geospatial map thematic layer is superimposed, below these layers. So that if you go to a particular location and turn on your CLART app, if it is green, then recharge potentiality is high or very high. So you have to do, structures, make structures like percolation tank, WHS, ECT, etc., which are amenable to this kind of. So the kind of work that you have to take and situating the work is, something that the CLART app will help you do. If it is yellow, then it is a moderate recharge potentiality structures that are helpful for that. If it is red, low or very low recharge potentiality, so surface water harvesting structures should be done. And then if it is a purple, it is mainly plantation, forest, etc., and the kind of works that you can do there. So we can go on and on, but since the time is very brief, I think CLART app is one of the apps that is being used in Karnataka extensively. It started with a pilot in 8 districts. Foundation for Ecological Security is some NGO that has designed this app. Now it has matured, it has stabilized, so we have extended it to throughout the country, throughout the state. So this is how Google Earth Legend will look like, the kind of works that are taken up under NREGA, and all the works you can see in one single map. So this is a Kodagu district proposed NRM and non-NRM activities under Jalasanjeevani in one single GP, Pallatka GP in Sulya Taluk of Dakshin Kannada district. So when I was talking about Jalasanjeevani, it is a 3-year action plan I was telling you. So if you look at NRM works for 23-24, non-NRM works for 23-24, what all they're taking, that is in green. 24-25, both NRM, non-NRM in yellow. 25-26, NRM, non-NRM in orange or red. So this is, you can present this to Gram Sabha and anybody can understand. The GP can just have this, kind of blown up and pasted on its wall. So there is much more clarity and it improves transparency and accountability also. So I think some of the works that we have done in NREGA in water conservation. So I want to thank all of you, and I think Jalasanjeevani is something whose time had come and it will be implemented over the next 3 years. So we have kind of touched upon planning, implementation, monitoring and vigilance. Next NREGA Commissionerate is trying, evaluation that can be done, especially in terms of climate change, of what NREGA has contributed towards greening, towards water security and towards soil conservation. Thank you so much. That's my time.